Hi guys, it's Victoria Carter, and today I wanted to talk about prep for NaNoWriMo. And this is going to be NaNoWriMo prep slash habits of a good author slash writer. If you're an aspiring author, then I think that these things would help. And here we go. So first of all, I have never completed NaNoWriMo because November is crazy for me. And I had intentions of doing Camp NaNoWriMo. I can't talk today, guys. Which is in April. But I didn't. So there you go. Alright. So tip number 1 is, and no one talks about this, it's food prep. So with how busy November gets, and also if you're on deadline, with how busy your life is going to get, you should really think about preparing food in advance. So taking the time to make smoothies, to make soup. My favorite things are things that come I don't want to say pre-packaged, but they come in serving size amounts. That way I can split them up between days. For example, an apple I would consider to be a serving size amount. And if you start food prepping before you get your deadline or before Camp NaNoWriMo or normal NaNoWriMo, then you'll be in the habit of doing it during NaNoWriMo, and you won't have to worry that you haven't eaten. You won't have to worry about all of that. So the second thing I'm going to say is write every day. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. I strongly believe in this because good habits are formed by doing them every day, not giving yourself a cheat day, just doing it. Okay, so what I think write every day means is put something down on the page that's going to be beneficial for your plot, your story, or your outline. So you're revising something, you're editing something, you're plotting something, or you're drafting something. Those are pretty much, I think that I covered all the bases there. And it has to be beneficial to those things. So I'm not necessarily saying do a writing prompt every day, although that can be it. But I am saying do something that's going to push you forward so that when NaNoWriMo comes, or when your deadlines come as an author, you're already used to doing it every day, and you're not being, it's not a new habit you have to form. You're already forming good habits before everything gets crazy. Okay, so the next thing I will say is figure out how much sleep you need to function. So, for example, I go crazy when I can't get enough sleep. I have to get 8 hours of sleep every day or else it's not good. I have friends who only need like 6 hours or 5 hours of sleep and they're fine, but if they don't eat, then they're hangry and I can forget to eat. So figure out how much sleep you need in a normal amount of time and plan your life around it because sleep is so important. Alright, this next thing is going to sound, so this is tip number 4. This next thing is going to sound kind of odd, but I feel like it really helps. Especially for me, when I'm drafting a book, I find that this helps tremendously. And that is read a book. And you're probably thinking, wait, I have to meal prep and sleep and read a book and also write? Yeah, but hear me out. When you are drafting a book, your mind's thinking about your story, right? But I feel like, at least for me, if I am planning my book and then I am doing something else and I'm not thinking about it, my brain is working out plot points by itself, which is awesome. So I would say when I'm reading a book or when I'm listening to an audiobook, my brain is picking up things that are working really well for that book or things I wish were different. And then I can put those differences in my book. So I'm not saying copy. I'm never, ever, ever saying copy. Do not copy anybody's work. But you can definitely be inspired by someone's work, or definitely look at a plot twist they did and think, oh, I could think of a better one, and you write it down, and that might be helpful to you. And it will give your brain a chance to relax from your story. You mentally won't be as fatigued. If you get used to reading every single day, you'll also be accustomed to lots of different genres and lots of different authors. So by the time you're an author, or by the time you're doing NaNoWriMo, you can look back on books that have inspired you and see what worked and what didn't. Or you can continue reading new books to find things or plot points or story beats that you can still be inspired by. So that's my next tip. What are we on? 5, 6? I don't remember. All right. The next tip I have for getting ready for Camp NaNoWriMo, or for getting ready to be a new author, is have a general, like, they call them back pocket stories. Have a story in your back pocket. Have a couple stories that you are roughly working on. So let's say, this is a really common one people have, is they want to do a vampire story, or they want to do a thriller, or they want to do a pirate story. I don't know. But have a back pocket story that you're working on that's different than your NaNoWriMo project or your official project. Now, if you've been signed on this book as an author, you're kind of stuck. So, but you could always have it afterwards. So maybe if they sign you again, then you would have something else. But for NaNoWriMo, I've heard of people saying that they actually switch to a different book in the middle of NaNoWriMo because they realize they don't have the passion for it. So the reason why I'm saying prep for NaNoWriMo using one of your back pocket projects is because sometimes when we start NaNoWriMo, we don't know what we're going to write about. And so we spend like the first 3 or 4 days when we could be writing, we spend it planning our characters, planning our story arcs, planning our world building, and like all of that should happen in October, or all of that should happen before you're an author, so that you already have things planned out and you can use NaNoWriMo to finally flesh out that story. Now, I consider myself a pantser because I can't plan all of my story. But I will say something that has helped me is writing a back of the book blurb, as if you're picking the book off the shelf and you're reading the blurb on the back of the book. This is another point. Point number 7, I think. So pretend you're writing the back of the book blurb, and look at a bunch of blurbs. Like, go to the bookstore and just go to like 5 different sections, like a children's section, an adult section, sci-fi, romance, thriller, whatever, and take a picture of the blurb on the back and see which one, when you go home, like write them all down and see which one sounds interesting to you, and then try to formulate your own back of the book blurb. And I think that's really important because we don't always know exactly what's going to be inside the book based on the blurb. We know generally, like, if there's going to be magic, if there's going to be love, if there's going to be a chase, or it's going to be action. We generally know because of the blurb what we can kind of expect, but there's going to be a ton of empty space that we have no idea about, a bunch of characters we don't understand, family relations we're not going to get from the back of the book. And I feel like writing your blurb is going to be a good way to point an arrow straight at where you want to go, and then say, all right, I'm going to write this book, and I need to make sure that I'm focused on what this is the goal of my book based on the blurb. And it'll keep you from making too many tangents, and it'll keep you going straight for your goal. So that's all I got for you today, and I hope that this helps, and I will see you next time. Bye!